Hi everyone, and welcome to week 4's art prompt for the Compassion Project Presents Art for Resilience. This week's theme is based on the idea of self-care and understanding what that might look like for you. We're going to be exploring the different techniques and ideas for self-care, which you explored in your mindfulness exercise, and work to understand the importance and the times that you need to practice self-care. Through this exercise, we're going to be cultivating rest through the idea of play. The prompt for this week is going to be shadow puppets. In this exercise, we will play with different objects around the house, such as toys, figurines, really anything with an interesting shape. You might have a piece of stained glass or some colored tissue and a light source, so a lamp or a flashlight. And using that light source on a specific wall, we're going to add the objects in front of the light to make interesting shapes on the wall. This will also have to be done in a little bit darker space so you can really see the shadows on this wall. Again, I'll go over how to make all of these things, but as you're thinking about this prompt, I want you to think about if there's a way that you can create a certain type of landscape, or maybe that there's a story or some sort of narrative that you want to recreate with your shadows. Considering that this exercise involves a darkened room, this would be a really good exercise to do to cultivate rest. Maybe right before a nap or possibly at bedtime. Maybe you make a fort with some blankets and pillows and create a sort of a movie with your puppets. And maybe it's something that you can get the whole family involved with. The materials for this exercise can vary, but think about a way in which that you can create some sort of landscape or story with your shadow puppets. I grabbed some picture books I had to spark interest for a story to create some puppets. I also grabbed a robot figurine and a plant because I think that those will be really interesting shapes to project onto the wall. To make my puppets, I'm using an old cereal box that I've drew some figures on, and I have some chopsticks. So I'm going to cut those out and then tape the chopstick to it so I have a little puppet on a stick.
Fantasies got us lost. We said it was okay, but we knew it was not. Started out as a foolish game.
Alright, so I just want to run through a quick checklist of materials. You will need your puppets or your objects, whatever you decide you want to use as your shadow figures. I made some puppets. Again, really simple, just used an old cereal box and a chopstick and some tape. So there you'll need tape and scissors if you want to make your puppets. You can also grab items around your house you already have, such as different toys and figurines. For example, I have this little pink robot. And then thinking about making a landscape or a scene for these characters to roam about, I just grabbed a houseplant quick because I bet that'll make a really cool shadow on the wall. And then you need a light source. So I have a lamp here. You can use a flashlight, and then obviously a darkened room where you can project your shadows. Okay, so I went to a darkened space and I have a lamp as my light source projecting onto my bedside table. So here I've set up a landscape prior to adding my puppet. So I have that aloe plant, my little dinosaur puppet, and my robot figurine kind of here as stable items. The one thing I want to show you is how to make puppets with your hands first. So here we can see a little figure. And then here with the puppet. So I want you to experiment with what it looks like to bring the items closer to the light source. You can see they look a lot larger, or bringing them forward. They get a little bit more in focus. So play around as you move your objects. This is also a really great exercise just to do while you're laying in bed if you want to project onto your ceiling using a flashlight and either the puppets you made or some hand puppets.
I let him in.
It's surprisingly much harder to record a puppet show than just to play with one, so I hope you guys got the gist. I just want to go over a few things that we learned through doing these exercises. Number one is just the idea of looking around your space and kind of looking at these interesting shapes and objects that you might want to create some sort of a story and narrative with. Again, I used some picture books to give me some ideas for my puppets. I grabbed a plant that I thought would be interesting, projected shadow, and again, a figurine that I had. That gives some sort of character. And again, I encourage you to create stories, have a dialogue between these figures. We also hope that you learned that this exercise will encourage play while cultivating rest. As silly as that may sound, it's important that we're listening to our bodies in terms of self-care, and that when we need to rest, we take advantage of doing so. So if you're tired, listen and lie down if you need to. These shadow puppets are a way for us to be kind of in a restful state with the lights low, maybe lying in bed, and still continuing to be able to play while we rest. I just want to say farewell. Thank you so much for trying this exercise with me, and thank you so much for watching and subscribing to the Compassion Project Presents Art for Resilience. This was week 4, focused on self-care. Thank you. More art is coming your way, and we hope you've enjoyed.